All right, have my ESD gear on. We are safe to open the machine. So we're going to put our RAM to the side. You will not need any tools with this. You will just need your memory modules. All right, so you will notice that there are two CPUs, CPU 1, CPU 2. CPU 1 is going to control the 12 DIMM slots over here, and CPU 2 is going to control the 12 DIMM slots over here. The air baffle, if you look at it, is actually labeled where it'll tell you the first DIMM slot A1 versus this first DIMM slot over here for CPU 2, which is B1, and everything in between is all loaded. It is also on the motherboard itself, which makes it convenient as far as being able to identify which DIMM you need to install your modules in, and as far as where it's labeled on the motherboard, it's in between the DIMM slots. So I like to take this out for a number of reasons. One, it's going to be a better view for you guys, and you have better access to the back here. So first things first, I want to point out the memory channels, and I want to point out the different DIMMs as a whole, and then we'll actually go ahead and install them. So if you notice, all the DIMMs are going black, white, or excuse me, white, black, white, black, white, black. So white is the start of the memory channel, and black is the second DIMM slot in the channel, and that means there's 2 DIMMs per memory channel, which means there's 6 memory channels per CPU and 12 memory channels across the 640 as a whole. And the reason this is important is you want to have a nice even balance of your memory modules across all the different memory channels. You don't want to just say load up, let's just say 6 channels and then have 6 channels not doing anything. So you just want a nice even distribution. So let's go ahead and point out the channels. So the very first DIMM is going to be A1, and it's this white DIMM slot right here. And then it's going to go to A2, and then A3. And again, you'll notice all these are the white DIMM slots because that's the start of the memory channel. And then when you come back over here, this is going to be A4, A5, and then A6, and then right there where the 2 white tabs touch, that's actually the dividing mark where this becomes CPU 2 and all the memory channels over here. So the first 6 channels for your CPU 1 are the white slots that are all that we just marked, okay? So now what you would do is if you had 2 CPUs, you would actually come over here and you would start loading up your B slots, which would be B1, B2, B3, swing around over here, B4, B5, B6. So if you had 2 CPUs, you'd fill up all your white DIMM slots first before you ever touch any of the black DIMM slots. And again, it's all about performance and having a nice even distribution across all your memory channels, okay? So if you did have 2 CPUs and you were continuing forward, then you'd swing back around over here, and this is A7, A8, A9, A10, A11, A12, and then you're going to swing back over here, which is B7, B8, B9, B10, B11, B12. So that is the exact order that you're going to put them in. So one of the things I always recommend before we start installing these, I like to open all my tabs, just because I don't like to try to open them when I'm holding the memory modules, just trying to do anything I can to protect the parts, protect the system. I don't want to accidentally drop a module or be fumbling around while I'm messing with the tabs. So while my hands are free and clear, I just like to go ahead and pop all these open so everything's all set up. So the next thing I want to point out is when you're installing your modules, you will notice right here there's a notch, also known as a key, and this notch is not perfectly centered. It's slightly off, and that's important to note because if you go to just try to install your module, you might have it facing the wrong way and you'll be off by maybe ½ an inch or so, and you could damage the leads on the memory module, or even worse, you could damage the DIMM slot, which means you might have to buy a new motherboard. So this is the first thing I always like to point out that's a common user error, is just make sure you line your modules up. So we're going to start over here at the A1 slot, have everything lined up properly, and we're just going to pop it in, okay? So the next thing I want to note is I'm not holding the module. The module looks like it's fully inserted. However, it's not fully inserted, and this is one of the other big user errors that we see all the time, is you need to hear these 2 clicks. Those 2 clicks are the tabs, the white tabs, actually hooking onto the side of the module and pulling it down to give it a firm connection into the DIMM slot. So that's a very important thing, is just make sure your tabs are fully inserted. So now we're going to go ahead and go over to A2 and A3. And you'll notice I haven't clicked them yet. I'm just getting them lined up first, and then we're going to go ahead and click them in. A2 and A3. 3. Okay, so now we're going to swing back over here to A4. A5 and A6. Okay, so we got them all lined up, and now you're going to hear these 2 clicks. Click, 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 click. And again, that's important that you hear it because that's a firm connection to the board. Okay, now again, if you had only 1 CPU, this is when you would start filling up your black slots. If you have 2 CPUs, which I highly recommend with a system like this just to get the most out of the performance, then you're going to swing over here and start with the B slots or the second channels for CPU 2 over here. All right, so we're going to come over here to B1, and we're going to line this up. B2, and B3. And again, you're noticing us putting everything into the white slots first because, again, just as a reminder, white is the start of the memory channel. All right, so now we're swinging over here, and we're going to start filling up the other slots, the other white slots. So it's going to be B4, B5, and B6. And just for the sake of time, so you don't have to sit here and watch me fill everything up, I wanted to really hammer in on the channels because that's one of the most common questions we get is, where do I put my module? So I really like to focus on that in the video. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to fill everything else up, and we'll be right back. All right, and just like that, we upgraded our R640 to 768 gigabytes. Now you can do a lot more. That's just what we happen to install for this specific build. Like I said, you could put up to 1.5 terabytes with registered, and you can put up to 3 terabytes with load reduced. And the combo of load reduced and Intel Optane can go all the way up to 7.68 terabytes, so you can definitely do more. But this is a very awesome, strong configuration that is very budget friendly right now, putting in 2432 gigs. So, well, I appreciate you stopping by. If you made it this far, hey, click that like, smash that subscribe. And if you're looking for any custom built R640s or any other Dell, HPE, Supermicro, IBM, Cisco, we would love the opportunity to earn your data center or your home labs business.